Hello and welcome to ModB.com's Stanislaus Football Weekly, an inside look at all things football in the Modesto area. And now for your hosts, Joe Cortez and Brian VanderBeek.
And we're joined this week by Ron Agostini. Welcome,
Hi, Brian.
Ron. Welcome,
Thank you.
Ron. It's good to have you here.
Be nice to me. Break me in gently here.
That's right. We're going to go for a little bit different format this week, and with every league starting league play except the CCC and the Mother Lode League. We're just going to kind of look league by league at what's happened so far, whether the leagues are going to what the coaches thought was going to play out, and we're going to look ahead and give our own predictions about how these leagues will play out in the next 6 or 7 weeks here. And let's jump right in with a look at the MMC. Now, starting this season already, Gregory is at 3-1. Bayer, Downey, and Modesto are all at 2-2. Davis is 1-3, and leaves Johansson and Enochs at 0-4. Now, this week we have Modesto at Gregory to start MMC play. Johansson visits Downey. Enochs is against Bayer, and that game's at Johansson High, where Davis has the bye. Now, this is the first MMC game ever at Gregory High. You've seen a couple games there.
I've seen one game there, Brian. I saw the night Gregory played Chavez, that's right. And that was the night they dedicated Don Lanphier Stadium. And that was a really very special night to see Don and his old teammates there. And very deserving that they named the stadium for Don. Now, this will be the first MMC game played there. That's a wonderful venue. I think it's going to be a very attractive site for really good MMC games with the seating for 2,500. But then there are berms surrounding the stadium for those who have not been there yet. And I think it's going to be a cool scene for some great MMC games next year and this year and beyond. And it should be a good one Friday night.
It is a nice venue. The press box is about street level, so the field is kind of sunken in.
That's nice.
It's really nice.
Yeah, I can't wait to see. We've had some like the great Modesto Davis games, and that used to pack Downey High. The reason we went to the artificial turf so many years ago when they had so many people there. That'd be good to see. See that maybe emerge as the premier stadium in Modesto. I don't know how they're going to do that.
It might. It very well might. It's kind of a different place because it's far away from the Gregory campus.
Right.
It's right on the edge, the western edge of the campus.
It's a trek.
It's a little bit of a trek, a little bit of a trick to park there for now. But as you said, Joe, you walk right into the press box there, and then you go down. So it's a little bit different. It kind of has its own charm already.
Yeah. Well, let's look at the league, how it's played out so far. Gregory, yes, alone at 3-1. Gregory's opponents, though, are 4-11 right now. They're not really doing well. And also, Gregory's lone loss this year was to a Liberty Ranch team that has lost to Amador. So we don't know how good. Is that a quality loss? I don't know. Is there such thing as a quality loss? Enochs, on the other hand, is 0-4. But has played a tough a schedule as anybody. All 4 of their losses, they've been outscored by a combined 174-38. But all 4 of their losses are in the CCC.
To the top 4 teams.
To the top 4 teams in the CCC.
I like the way Enochs competed against Turlock. They played hard right to the end of that game. Their coaches were very complimentary to their team afterwards. Yeah. And I think that's all you can want from your team.
Yeah, they've lost to Turlock, Pittman, Merced, Buhack Colony. Those 4 teams are combined 13-3.
Yeah, top flight competition. Yeah. I saw them play Pittman. It wasn't close, and that was a tough scenario. We've talked about that before, but it'll be interesting to see, if they can bounce back, if their confidence has been shattered to a point where, it may not be able to be repaired. We'll find out.
How do you see it shaking out?
The MMC.
The MMC.
My pick is Modesto. I really like what I saw in the second half of that Turlock game the other night. They were down 41-14 early in the third quarter. They came roaring back, and I think they discovered a little bit who they are.
It's funny how things change in a month's time. In our preseason preview, in our coaches survey, the coaches chose Enochs
overwhelmingly
over Downey in second and Modesto in third. Well, we've already seen some changes in that already. Right?
Absolutely.
I still think it's going to come down to Gregory and Downey. Those two, and Enochs at 0-4, one thing they have to keep in mind is that they may have to come close to running the table because with the 4 losses already, they're going to probably have to finish first or second in the league to reach the playoffs at all.
Correct.
Okay, let's jump with the CCC not opening until October 11. Let's jump over to the VOL. And in the VOL, Manteca and Sierra at 3-1. Oakdale, Kimball, East Union, and Weston Ranch are all at 1-2. Sonora and Lathrop come in at 0-3. Now this week we have Oakdale at East Union, Weston Ranch at Lathrop, Kimball at Sierra, and Sonora at Manteca. Interesting. The one thing, the Western Ranch Lathrop game, not a big game, but it is the first I-5 Classic.
They've started the rivalry.
They've started the rivalry, the I-5 Classic. Now, how do you think this is going to shake out in the VOL?
I'm going with the chalk.
Yeah.
Oakdale was 0-2, and we were kind of wondering. They had one returning defensive starter, one returning offensive starter. We're really sure. They're very young. I like what I saw. Again, I like what I saw last week against Paraclete. They looked like the Oakdale of old. I'm going with the chalk.
Yeah. And the chalk did have Oakdale.
Oakdale, Manteca, and Sonora in that order in the
Yeah.
VOL. That sounds about right to me, too.
Well, I like the top two there, Oakdale and Manteca, but Sonora coming in at 0-4 and losing to Calaveras. That's a very showing, because I saw the week before, I saw Calaveras lose 51-15 to Modesto Christian. And I just can't see a Calaveras team losing to Modesto Christian like that, turning around and beating Sonora. Yeah, that just
Doesn't make sense.
Just doesn't make sense to me.
It's a bit of a statement game with Sonora going into the Mother Lode next season, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I just think, Manteca Oakdale, that game is October 11. Manteca visits Oakdale for the VOL title. Sierra is a possible spoiler in there. They keep getting better.
Quarterback Greg Pruitt.
Yeah, they're very good. Very
I've seen
player.
Sierra, solid team.
Yeah. And I think that even if they finish in third place, the T-Wolves are going to be a solid playoff team. Let's move along to the WAC, where Patterson is 4-0. Pacheco, Los Banos, Central Catholic, and Central Valley all at 3-1. Livingston and Ceres are at 1-3. Now, this week's conference openers have Ceres at Los Banos, Central Catholic at Livingston, Pacheco at Central Valley, with Patterson getting the bye. I've had a chance to see Central Catholic, and I've seen Patterson. I think this is pretty easy to call. This is Central Catholic's league to win.
There's not a big drop-off from their state championship team to this year's team. I saw them last week against Downey. They're moving the ball nicely with Donovan Townsend, pretty good athlete at quarterback. Matt Ringer, hard-working running back, got the ball 40 times in a game already this season. You were there for that.
It's not heavy.
The ball is not heavy, as they say. I saw him rush 24 times for 155 yards last week against Downey. Also, the Bland brothers, the freshman, Montel is up now playing outside linebacker. Great young talent there. And with Reggie playing great for them right now.
Yeah, I saw Montel playing the JV game at St. Mary's. Just see him as a little scatterbug running through the defense. He's going to be something.
I didn't see Central play last year, but I can't imagine there being that much of a drop-off. They have looked fantastic so far this year. Ringer's just a wonderful player.
Yes, he is.
But they don't have the breakaway that they had last year with the run ratio.
True.
And they still haven't thrown the ball well. And I don't think they're going to have to throw the ball well to win with their line. Spencer Stark and the guys up and down that line. They won't have to throw the ball maybe until they get to Carson.
You can't replace Ray and Ray.
No.
But this is the next best thing, the way they've looked so far.
Yeah.
Interesting note on the Central Valley Pacheco game. Central Valley will be without 13 players this week.
Right.
They were involved in a fracas last week, and by section rule, 13 players have to sit out, 5 starters included.
Well, coming up, there are a couple WAC games to look at. Los Banos visits Central Catholic on October 11. Patterson is at Central Catholic also at
That'll be a good
Field on November 8th, and that's the regular season finale. Probably going to be for the WAC championship, and I don't think that's a long limit at all to reach out on. I think in the end, Central Catholic not only wins this, but they're going to Carson. I'll call it right now. I think Central Catholic is going to be a return trip to Carson this year. Patterson will make it into the D3 playoffs, and Los Banos is going to make it in the D4 playoffs.
That's a tough call, though, sending them to Carson right now.
I just don't see anybody else at that D4 level in Northern California. McClymonds is still ranked number 3, correct?
Number 3 behind Central's number 1, Capital Christian of Sacramento's number 2, and then McClymonds.
Yeah.
After a big loss to Central, they're still number 3.
Isn't that funny? McClymonds and Central already met?
Yeah. That's right.
That's right. So let's go into the TVL, where Ripon and Hilmar are 4-0, Houston is 3-0, Modesto Christian is at 3-1, Escalon and Riverbank at 2-2, and Oristimba is winless at 0-4. This week's openers: Escalon at Ripon, Hilmar at Modesto Christian, Oristimba at Riverbank, Somerville at Houston. Actually, that's obviously a non-league game with Somerville in the MLL, Houston getting the league bye. Well, we're going to get a great sense of what this race is going to be about right away with Escalon, Ripon, Hillmar, Modesto Christian games right away this week.
This might be the most intriguing league race of all of them in our district. They're one of 4 teams maybe could win it this year, right?
I think you're right.
Yeah, none of the 3 undefeated teams really played a strong pre-league schedule at all. Meanwhile, Modesto Christian lost by only 2 scores to Cardinal Newman, and Escalon has losses to Los Banos in their opener, 20-3, and Patterson in a double overtime thriller last week at Patterson. Well, what's your call? This is a tough call.
You know, I can't believe I'm going to go against Escalon here. I love that program, but after what I've seen the last couple of weeks, and I picked against Modesto Christian a couple times this year because I just didn't believe with 20 players they could do what they've done. But I'm going to go with Modesto Christian. Like Steve Gleason has said at the quarterback club meetings, he's got 20 players, all 20 play, and they play pretty well.
Yeah.
The coaches said Houston.
Yeah.
Houston, Ripon, Hillmar, in that order.
Houston they're 3-0. They're not tested. They haven't played anybody. I don't know. I can't wait to see it. At the very worst, what this means if Houston is really good, that it's going to revive the Houston-Escalon rivalry, which has been dormant for about 8 years here. But as far as a prediction goes, I'm going to climb on that long limb with you. I saw Modesto Christian just school Calaveras the other day, and if they can stay healthy, that's a big if. With like 8 guys going both ways, it's a big if. If Modesto Christian stays healthy, they could win this thing.
We'll learn a lot this week, Brian,
Yeah.
when when Ripon and Escalon play.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump right out to the Southern League with the Mother Lode League, again, not opening until October 11. We'll jump to the Southern League where Delhi, LeGrand, and Mariposa are 3-0. Ripon Christian is at 2-1. Waterford and Gustine are at 1-2. Denair and Turlock Christian winless at 0-3. This week's openers, Delhi at Waterford, LeGrand at Denair, Ripon Christian at Mariposa, and Turlock Christian at Gustine. I just don't think this is tough to call at all.
No, another chalk pick here.
Yeah.
LeGrand easily.
Yeah. I think that's what the coaches went with too, right?
Yes, LeGrand was the pick, obviously. Ripon Christian second, with Andrew Brown, pretty nice talent. Mariposa third.
Yeah.
Delhi apparently improved this year.
That's good to see. It's always good to see strong. They have a very strong following out there building one, as does Waterford. It's always fun to get to Waterford for games. Yeah, in the end, LeGrand not only rolls through this league and the D5 playoffs. The way that sets up, they'll get a first-round bye and only have to win 2 games to, again, win another section title.
That would be a 4th in a row.
4th in a row. They'll finish 12-0 and won't go to the NorCal because they're not going to pick LeGrand over Central Catholic. They're in the same pool there for the NorCal playoffs.
That really is an amazing run by LeGrand, isn't it?
It is. It really is. All homegrown. And
5 straight section final appearances, 4 straight. Or this would be 4 straight titles, and it would be a 5th this year.
Yeah.
I'm getting ahead of myself, but they're a dynasty.
And 1 trip to Carson.
That's right, and a trip to a state bowl.
Absolutely. Well, let's predict some games this week. Let's start right here in that in the MMC with Enochs and Bayer. How do you see that one going this week?
That is for the Sylvan Bowl.
That's
right?
the Sylvan Bowl, and a trophy will exchange hands this year, I'm told.
We're not totally sure.
Right. I'm going to go with Enochs.
Yeah.
Simply because I think they're a little more battle tested, and if they're ever going to make a stand, this is it. They've got to do it this week. So I'm going to write them one more time.
Now, Enochs won the game last year, but supposedly didn't get the trophy. Little playful exchange between the coaches this week at the Modesto Quarterback Club. So it's kind of fun. Little local rivalry here.
Yeah. I think, like you said, if Enochs isn't beaten and their confidence isn't shattered by going 0-4 in the CCC, at the first quarter of this game will show a lot. If they jump out on Bayer, I see them actually winning this game pretty easily. Let's go for another classic battle here. The first I-5 Classic. Now that's tough to pick because we don't see Weston Ranch or Lathrop at all, but it's just because of the rivalry factor. What do you think here?
Right, we don't typically see those teams, but I will go with Weston Ranch.
2 first-year coaches in that game.
Yeah.
I kind of like Western Ranch too.
I like Western Ranch in this one to bring that trophy, the I-5 Classic trophy, back to the 160. Remember, they created their own area code.
What is the trophy for the I-5 Bowl?
I think it's a
traffic cone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Or it should be. No, I think it's a helmet that's half painted in Lathrop colors, half painted in Western Ranch colors. Now we're going to jump into the TVL for our next two picks because these are huge games. Escalon at Ripon.
Well, I saw the Ripon-Escalon games, one of the best games I saw last season. Ripon won it very, very close. That is a very tough call to make.
Yes,
I'm going to say Ripon because they're at home.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Escalon. I think Escalon's a little more tested than Ripon. And even though it's on the road, I'm going to go with Escalon.
I'm not sure there's a wrong pick in that game.
It's
Well, I'm choosing Ripon because I always choose Ripon. That's the way it is. Hillmar at Central Catholic. Oh, excuse me. Hillmar at Modesto Christian. I actually wrote it down here wrong. Hillmar at Modesto Christian.
Boy, that is an interesting game. We're not sure about Modesto Christian. And
I've seen them.
with their 20-man team, two great skill players in their backfield.
Yeah.
And with Hillmar coming in, I kind of like Modesto Christian in a close game.
Yeah.
Modesto Christian. I like quarterback Anthony Brooks. He's a dual threat, gives them a lot of dangerous options.
Yeah, I actually covered this game 2 years ago, and we really thought that was going to be a great game, and it was.
And it was not.
It was. I would think it was like 45-0 at halftime. Yeah, Modesto Christian big in this one actually. Ripon Christian at Mariposa going down into the Southern League for our fourth pick here.
I like Ripon Christian. I think they're going to do it. Andrew Brown's a nice talent.
Yes, he is.
Bounced back from a serious injury in his last game last year, playing great. I'll go with RC.
Mariposa's a real tough program, but I like Ripon Christian. I like Andrew Brown, who has now joined the fray
That's
for
right.
the
rushing time.
the all-time rushing record here in the Stanislaus district with Jaquan Gardner of Central Valley.
Yeah, he has over 3,500 yards.
Correct.
Yeah. Now I'm going to go off base here. I generally pick the Ripon teams. Having played in Mariposa, I just know how tough it is to make that long bus ride and play in that. My senior year, that was our only league loss, was up at Mariposa, and I just, I'm going to pick Mariposa just for the bus ride.
They're not playing in that same venue.
I know they no longer play at the fairgrounds.
At the fairgrounds.
They
Right.
do play in on-campus stadium, but it's just a long ride, and Mariposa's tough, and riding a little bit of momentum. I'm going with Mariposa in this game. Well, that's it for our picks, but any parting shots here?
Good.
I don't have a parting shot right now. I kind of like the way the season's played out so far.
Yeah.
I was really impressed by Central Catholic last week. I think they're headed for another great season. I don't think we were totally sure that they were going to approach last year's great run, but they could be doing it all over again.
We talked a lot about league games this week,
Right.
but there are a couple of non-league games that are really attractive. Number one, Pittman is going to take on Pleasant Grove of Elk Grove.
Yeah.
And Pleasant Grove is ranked number 7 in Northern California by Max Press.
Right.
Pittman is ranked number 25, tied with Central Catholic at number 25.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big...
Yeah, the other game we talked about, we didn't talk about the Mother Lode League. We did mention Amador at 4-0.
Right.
But Amador is hosting Capital Christian. Capital Christian, number 2 in Division 4.
That's right.
Just right behind Central Catholic there. So Amador at home, and another really funky place to play. If they are up to the task of handling Capital Christian, that's really going to shake up the Division 4 standings.
That's right.
Vault Amador into that NorCal
mix.
And Amador, if they win this, we could see Amador making a run in the D4 playoffs.
Quick shout out to Gustine High. Beat Orstimba for the first time in 8 years. Got the Chief back in their hands. Wonderful win for them. And it was also nice to see Steven Machado playing again for Orstimba.
And they got the Chief? They actually brought the Chief to the game?
That thing weighs about 300 pounds. It's pretty hard to move. I hope they got it over. Maybe they sent a truck over there to get it. I don't know.
Well, that's it for this edition of Stanislaus Football Weekly. For Joe Cortez, and welcome Ron Agostini.
Thank you.
This is Brian VanderBeek, and have a great football weekend. Go see some football.